Hi guys, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Today we're going to talk about the Texas two-step. And no, it's not a dance. More on that in just a moment. So let's suppose that you're an individual and you've got one of those neighbors next door that is just insufferable, right? You bring home a $200 gas barbecue grill and he goes out and buys a $700 Komodo dragon cooker that, not only barbecues, but, makes French crepes at the same time. The kind of person who is just so terribly annoying that when you hear their voice, it just makes you want to chew down on something like leather because it's, almost impossible to bear. One of those people. Let's suppose that you get really irritated at that person and punch them in the nose. And they say, well, I'm going to sue you, right? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to clone yourself, right? You could simply clone yourself. And you could say, I'm the original guy, and that guy over there is the clone. And when we cloned ourselves, I got all of the assets. I got the house, I got the car, I got the wife, I got everything. And he didn't get anything, but the fact of the matter is it was him, the clone, that punched you in the nose. Wouldn't that be great? Because then your neighbor could sue him and he could get $10 million in judgment, and your guy could probably get most of it discharged in bankruptcy, because that's how bankruptcy works. It gives the quote-unquote honest debtor an opportunity to go at it again. Well, if all of that sounds kind of far-fetched and kind of stupid, really, it's because it's stupid, but it's not far-fetched. Let me tell you what's happening. Many of you may have heard that there are problems with talcum powder. Not only does talcum powder produce something called talc pneumoconiosis, which is an inflammatory disease of the lung, it also has little pieces of asbestos in it, or at least that is the allegation in multiple lawsuits filed against two companies. One of them is called Emerus Talc, and the other one is called Johnson & Johnson. You may have heard of Johnson & Johnson. They make baby lotion and baby oil and oh, did I mention baby powder, which is made up of talcum powder? So the talcum powder that was sold, particularly a brand called Shower to Shower, was used by women. And a lot of times it was used in rather private areas that we don't need to go into. But the bottom line is that this is alleged to be responsible for multiple forms of uterine and cervical cancer. And indeed, there has been a $2.1 billion judgment entered against Johnson & Johnson. It was done in a Missouri court in St. Louis City. Johnson & Johnson is a company that's worth almost $1 trillion. And the idea that it might have to pay billions of dollars multiple times has it scared. So it wants to do what's called the Texas two-step. Now, the Texas two-step is a very interesting process. They go through what's called a divisive merger. And Johnson & Johnson, the good company or the new company, will get all of the assets. They'll get the patents. They'll get the drugs. They'll get the equipment. They'll get the plant. They'll get the workers. They'll get all the bank accounts. And Johnson & Johnson 2, the bad company, they're going to get about enough cash to keep them solvent for the first 90 days, and then they're going to file for bankruptcy. And this, what's called a divisive merger under both Texas and Delaware law, essentially allows them to escape liability. Now, you would think that this kind of thing would be unlawful, that the law would not really want people who go around making dangerous products and distributing them Whether they knew they were dangerous or not is another question, but these people, you would not want them to escape liability. If somebody causes harm, our justice system says those who cause the harm should be responsible for paying for the harm. That's not what's been happening. In fact, that's nothing like what's been happening. And indeed, the Texas two-step is one of the reasons why companies have frequently been able to leave people who are seriously injured by their negligence or incompetence, sometimes by their planned actions, holding the bag. Nothing in the bag, just the bag. And it's not a very expensive bag. It's kind of like the ones you get at Walmart. That's what a Texas two-step divisive merger does. It should be void as against public policy. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, that's awful, man, but what can I do about it? Well, you can write to Congressman Maloney and Congressman Nadler, who are two individuals who are working on some rewriting of the bankruptcy code, and you can urge them to disallow all transfers that result from a divisive merger. That's all you got to do. Write them a letter. I have heard about this terrible thing called the Texas two-step. I don't believe that divisive mergers do society any good. People who do harm should pay for harm. Please pass a bill that addresses this issue. That's all you got to do. You can find the address for your congressman if you go to the internet and you look up the House telephone directory. And you can find the address at probably in the Cannon or Rayburn or Longworth House office buildings. And there will be a number like 2308 Rayburn House office building, 20515. And Washington, D.C., obviously. And send your letter there and get those people aware of the fact that this is bad public policy, that it hurts people like you and me, and that we really need to do something to stop companies from gaming the system, because that's what's happening here. They're gaming the system. So that's my take on the Texas two-step. Again, it's not a dance. You know, Michael Montgomery wrote a song once about life's a dance, you learn as you go. Well, this is one of those situations where companies have learned the dance and they're making us pay for the music. So if you found this interesting or thought-provoking, and maybe it makes you just a little bit mad, hopefully not at me, but if it's making you just a little bit mad and you're going to write, please do so as soon as you can. The sooner you write, the better the outcome will be for all of us. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'd really appreciate if you'd give me a like in the little thing down below. And if you haven't already, go over here and smash the subscribe icon if you haven't already subscribed, so that you can be notified every time we release a video here on this channel. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you on here next time.